Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Yarnflakes podcast. My name is Audrey. I am a knitwear designer from the southwest of France, and this is a podcast where I share everything that I am knitting and crocheting now and etc. So thank you so much for joining me for this new episode. I hope you're doing very well. I have an episode that is only garments this time, only summer garments, and all of them I was gathering them before filming and I realized that all of them are actually cotton based. So yeah, we're gonna talk a little bit about this fiber. So you can find timestamps to all the different sections of the podcast in the description down below. So if you want to skip anything, feel free to look at this. I also put links to everything that I talk about, my social media, the patterns that I will be mentioning and the yarns that I'm using, as well as links to my pattern shops, etc. Yay! So I didn't have the best of sleep. So just a heads up that I might be a little bit rambly and I kind of look like a ghost. And I tried to compensate with colorful makeup and stuff. And I think that's actually making it worse. But yeah, we're gonna try anyway. I'm going to start with what I'm wearing, which is a new design that is now available on that is now available. Okay, so I'm trying to grow out my bangs for like the 15th billion time, and the thing is I can't, like, I think that if I tie my hair it looks so much worse, so I constantly have to have my hair down. Silly. What I'm wearing is a new design that I just published on Ravelry and Take It, and it is the Hermeline top, which is a little summery garment. So it is knitted top down. You start with the shoulders, which you work with some short rows, then you do all the back in a stockinette and the front with some armhole shaping here, as well as the neck shaping on the front, which is adjustable. As you're knitting straight for a small portion here, you can make it shorter if you want a higher neck, if you'd like that. And then you join front and back in the round here at the underarm, and you knit the body straight in the round with some twisted ribbing hem. You pick up stitches around the neckline to work the twisted ribbing collar, and then you pick up stitches as well around the armhole, and you're going to work a little sleeve cap using short rows so that you have a little bit more of an edge here compared to here. And that's it. So you have this lace panel on the front, which is both charted and written. It is a fairly simple lace. It's not the most intuitive, but I was lucky enough, as usual, to have various testers that had different skill levels, and none of them had a particular issue with the lace, especially since it's like just a small bit here and the rest is stockinette. I'd say that the most original stitch might be this mock cable here, but you have a video tutorial included in the pattern to let you know how to make it. So yeah, the panel is slightly bigger for the bigger sizes, but just so that it always goes centered with the neckline. Like, that was the point of it, so that it goes down the neckline, so that you don't have a difference here with the bigger sizes. So yay. Yeah, that's it. That's it for the construction. This is knitted in Catania by Schachenmeier. This is my German attempt. The brand that owns Regia, etc. And this is their Catania range, which is their pure cotton, which comes in a bunch of different lovely colors, and it is fairly affordable. It's around €3.50, depending where you buy it. And for this top, for example, like the biggest size, you would only need 10 balls, so it's pretty nice price-wise. And this is the, I don't have the number of this colorway in mind, but it's terracotta, and it's much more rushed than it appears on camera. It looks more red here, but it's definitely like a rusty, my usual rusty colors, right? And yeah, so this is a pure cotton, and so you know me. I like summer yarns, I like summer knitting, etc. But I always tend to go for blends like cotton silk, cotton viscose, linen, cotton, etc. Because the thing is with summer fibers, plant or silk, they tend to have like really extreme properties. Like cotton is gonna be very stiff. Tencel or bamboo is gonna be very, very drapey, too soft and flimsy. Linen and silk are gonna be a little bit intense in their drape. Sometimes they can have some irregularities in the yarn, and yeah, so I usually like blends because it allows me to have yarns that are a bit more balanced. But there are a lot of pure cotton, especially on the market, like 100% cotton yarns. There's a lot of them, and I'm just curious to try because I know that not all cottons are the same. Some cottons are more firm for house projects or toys. Some cottons are a little bit more soft and drapey. And I'm just not very familiar with the process of spinning cotton and the different qualities of cotton. So I'm still learning and experimenting, and I'm always very curious to try those just so that I can get a sense of what kind of cotton works for what. And so this one, I'm fairly pleased because it is, I think, totally suitable for garments for like in between seasons, right? It is pretty firm still. I'd say it's like on the firmness to drape scale, it would be still 65% firm, but it's not too heavy at all. It does have some nice lightness and drape. It has a beautiful definition, that's for one thing. And it's not too, it's not heavy. I don't think I would necessarily want to wear it in the middle of the summer heat wave that we have here, but I often say this: I live in the southwest of France. In the summer, I just want to die, so it doesn't matter what I'm wearing, honestly. But this is kind of nice if I were to live or to go to a cooler part of the world, or if I want to wear this maybe with a shirt on top or a jacket for the spring or the early summer, late summer, I think that is totally suitable. So I'm quite happy because I seem to have found something that is nice for garments, even though it is pure cotton. And so I did knit it quite tightly, so it's a sport way. And I think I could make something even lighter and drapier if I were to knit it a bit looser. I didn't want to do this for this top because since there's already the lace here, it's already quite transparent. So if I had a looser gauge overall, perhaps I would not be comfortable wearing it without anything underneath, which would kind of defeat the purpose of a warm weather garment. But yeah, the thing is, when designing with yarns like this that are very specific, when I plan the type of garment that I want, the shape, etc., it can mean that the design is not as versatile, like it's not as easy to substitute yarn and to modify. This, for example, if you want to use a yarn that is more drapey, more elastic, something like merino or linen, etc., it's going to matter a lot. What size you choose is going to matter a lot. That's the order of the sentence. So, size-wise, this is designed to have little to no ease on the bust. 5 centimeters or 2 inches positive ease at the bust is the absolute maximum that you should pick for this garment. You can cheat and I will let you know afterwards how you can change that. But if you want to knit it as is, the thing is, since I'm using cotton, which has no elasticity, and since it still has shoulders, see, and I'm someone who really doesn't like to have tight fabrics here. Like if I'm making something with smaller straps here, or something like more of a racer back arm side thing, I can have something that's fitted. But this, if it was really fitted, I would be really uncomfortable. So this has a little bit of ease here on the upper shoulders, because that's just more comfortable for me, so I can move around more freely, right? And this means, however, that on the bust I have almost no ease. And so if you pick a yarn that is more drapey, or if you pick a size that's too big, you're gonna have an issue here. You're gonna have something that's a bit too floppy. And yeah, that's just not how the pattern construction is thought. So I really, really, really recommend that you pick a size that gives you the recommended amount of ease. And if you are using a yarn that is more elastic or more drapey, like linen, alpaca, merino for elasticity, etc., tencel, etc., pick even a smaller size, something that would give you a bit of negative ease, just so that you have a nice upper body here. The pattern is like graded to accommodate no ease. I know that it's a bit scary to try to make a garment that is very fitted and close to your bust, but the pattern is first having more fabric on the front than on the back to accommodate the bust. And if you are wearing a C cup plus bra size, you have the option to make bust darts. So this depends on the difference between your upper bust and your full bust. You may have noticed that if you're making fitted garments, they tend to ride up on the front like this, because your bust just pulls it upwards. If you're doing this intentionally, some garments are purposefully made so that they make this curve, and it's really nice. But if you don't want it, well, it's a bit of a shame. So what you can do is do short row bust darts, and those are included in the pattern. At some point here on the front, you're going to just knit back and forth like this around the front, and you're going to do this for a certain length, and the length depends on your bra cup, or how big the difference between this measurement and this measurement is here. Those bust darts, they're really easy to customize, so you can place them where you need them depending on where your breasts are, basically. And you can easily adapt which size you're making depending on the measurements that you need. And this will mean that you will catch up the length, and you will not have a difference on the length of the garment at the front, right? I didn't make bust darts because I don't especially need them, and I don't necessarily mind that, because as you can see, I have a lot of pants that have belts, and so I actually kind of prefer if it sits a bit higher like this. But if you want it straight, you can do the bust darts. So that's it if you're doing the recommended ease. Now, if you really want more ease at the bust, or if you're using a yarn that is going to be a bit too floppy, what you can do is very easy. It's written in the pattern as well. You can make a size that is smaller here on the top, so either the size that you were supposed to make to have no ease, or if you're using a flimsy yarn or an elastic yarn, smaller size here, so that this is nice. And here at the underarm, you're casting on a few stitches to join the front and the back. So here you can actually cast on more stitches to catch up to a size or two up, and therefore you will have a bigger circumference and more ease. So yeah, that is what you should do if you want a different type of yarn or more ease on the bust. Don't just make a bigger size. You're gonna mess up the shoulder measurement. So yeah, these are some advice about this top, the Hermeline top. Hermeline, by the way, is a little lady fox. There is a medieval French tale about fox, personified fox, and le roman de renard. Renard is how we say fox, and his wife is called Hermeline, and I thought that was a cute little name, and it matched the color. So that's it. So yeah, that is it for this little summer top, which I hope you will enjoy. And yeah, I have now published it on Ravelry and Payhip, and there is a 15% discount for the release with the code Hermeline on Ravelry, and everything is written in the description down below as usual. I really hope you like this little one, and yeah, here's my first cotton of the episode. So going to move on to some works in progress, and I'm going to start with a new one, which is a new design that I'm working on. So a few years ago now, Pearl Soho kindly contacted me to talk about, to ask me if I wanted to receive some of their yarns to try them, and I said yes. And Pearl Soho is a brand that I'm really interested in. I absolutely love that they have such interesting bases, like their linen quill range is so interesting to me, and yeah, I kind of wish they were distributed somehow in Europe, because it's quite pricey to get them here with the shipping and the customs now. But yeah, on the other hand, they do have sales quite often, like they will have like 25% off the entire website or something like this. So it's a brand that I'm really interested in, and I actually did make an order at the end of last year, because I had been saving to do this, and I've been waiting on a sale event just so that I could place an order to try some of their yarns. But this was a long time ago that they offered to send me yarn, and I kind of took so long to finally design with it. So what they had sent me was, I requested their sweetgrass base, which is 65% cotton, 35% alpaca, and this is a range that is comes in a bunch of undyed colors, and my colors is rye flower, and it's kind of like this nice beige, slightly grayish, but mostly beige. So they sent it to me a long time ago, and I immediately knew what I wanted to do with it. I had a swatch, and I knew what it was going to be, but I just took so long to finally knit with it. So there we are finally. I am making a summer top. It will actually be the last summer top of this year, which should be published in July if all goes well, and it is this little thing. So it's going to be a tank sleeveless top. I think I'm not quite decided yet on what shape I want for the neckline here, but I think I'm gonna have finer straps, and the star of the design is this ribbed chevron hem. Chevron, I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce it. And yeah, it's really nice. It makes this scalloped edge, because you're having some increases and decreases, which sort of pulls each sections like this, and it makes this nice scalloped thing. And yeah, so after this, which you could make smaller if you would like, just a little bit of a hem. I kind of wanted it to be a taller, structured thing, and after this it's just pure stockinette. And it's really pleasant to knit with. It's not going to be something that I necessarily can wear in the summer either, because you do feel a little bit the alpaca. However, under a jacket or something, an open shirt, it's gonna be absolutely lovely, because look at that drape. This is so nice. It's very soft as well. If I were to make a sweater, like a spring sweater, it would be absolutely lovely. Has a pretty good definition as well. And it's just really pleasant fabric because, so I'm knitting it fairly tightly. I'm getting a 27 stitches per 10 centimeter 4 inches gauge, and I am using 3mm needles for this, US 2.5, I'm not sure. So I'm knitting it fairly tightly, and it has no elasticity because it's like cotton and alpaca, right? So it has no give at all. However, the stitches on the needles, they're quite soft and malleable. If you already knit with linen, you may have noticed that some of the knitting process is a bit difficult, because when I knit linen, so I primarily knit with my right hand, so like bringing the yarn around the needle, there's no give here. But also when you need to insert your needle into the stitch, like you really need to get in there, so it demands a little bit more motion to knit with linen because of this. Here, however, yes, there's no give when I'm wrapping the yarn. However, getting my needle into the stitches is just very smooth, and so that's quite pleasant. It doesn't split. It's, like I said, really nice and soft, and I think it would look lovely in lace as well. So yeah, I'm really curious to finish it, block it, wear it, and see exactly, because I think it's gonna be nice for the mid-season, or if it's a bit cooler some days. And yeah, that's the plan for this. So when it's going to be blocked, the hem is going to stand a little bit straighter compared to the body. And yeah, that is my current work in progress. I cannot think of a name for this design. Like I said, I've had the design in mind forever, and I just can't. I just don't have any idea how to name this. Yeah, it's just nothing is coming. Maybe it's a little too simple for me to have any sort of inspiration. But yeah, that is my current design works in progress. And I also wanted to give you a little update on my crochet cardigan. So I am learning how to properly crochet, and I am making the Beatrice V-neck cardigan by Woodward Designs. First of all, I want to give you a massive thank you, because in my previous episode, you guys have sent a lot of really nice comments, lots of helpful tips, and you've sent me resources, and some of you explained some of the things that I was wondering about, and yeah, in very clear terms and things. So I'm really grateful for your help. I do want to mention though, I've gotten some comments that were trying to reassure me, and I don't need to be reassured. And I wanted to talk a little bit about this, because as a knitting designer, I get a lot of questions from people who are not so confident in their skills, and who are wondering if X design is beginner friendly, or like some of them, I can see that they're struggling with a design instruction or something. And I think that people kind of, like, there might be some misconception about what a learning process is. And okay, again, I don't mean to say that I'm not grateful for your help and tips. On the contrary, and please do keep sending them. I'm specifically talking about a few comments I've got that make me think that perhaps I have not expressed myself properly in some circumstances. for example, a while ago, I did mention, I jokingly talked about crochet charts and how they look kind of weird when you don't understand them and when you've never seen a crochet chart. Like I said, and I'm going to repeat it because I maintain that thought, they look like demon circles, like invocations. Like it's weird, it looks weird, and it's just fun. And I think it's important and interesting for me to share a learning process, because I've been knitting for a very long time, and I don't mean to say I'm an expert. I'm not. Sometimes people specifically asking if a design is beginner friendly or something, they will say, oh, I'm no expert in this. It's like, I'm not an expert either. I don't know, maybe I will be when I've been knitting for 70 years and I've done everything under the sun. But I do have more knowledge with knitting, and I just won't design something or talk about something that I'm not that I have no knowledge about, right? So when I talk about knitting, I don't necessarily give you this learning approach. So maybe seeing me learn crochet, some of you were confused because you're used to me telling you stop worrying about your knitting skill and just do what you want to do. And just if you want to learn something, you can do it. And maybe when I described my crochet learning, some people thought that I was afraid, or that I didn't, or that I was stuck on something. No, I'm just trying to explain my learning process because I think it's important, and that maybe a lot of us have forgotten what learning is, and that when you don't understand something, it's totally normal. When you're learning something new, it's not going to be like this, right? You're not going to instantly get everything and know how to do everything, and it's not going to be perfect, and that's totally fine. That's part of the learning process. And I'm not making fun or belittling people who don't want to fuss with their craft, right? If you're knitting or crocheting for relaxing purposes and you like to make plain stockinettes, garments and things because it's just calming to you, and you're not interested into learning new techniques and things, that's just great. I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about the people who do want to learn something and are panicking as soon as there's a little bit of learning curve. I see so many knitters, when they see a cable design or something, they're like, oh, I want to make this, but I can never do this, like I don't understand how this works, etc. And they're frustrated. That's something that like kind of is sad to me, and I get so many remarks sometimes of knitters who are panicking and misjudging themselves, and that kind of annoys me, honestly, when I see that a knitter is like stucking themselves like in a process because they're frustrated. And it's so sad to me that there's like, it's okay, you just Google, just ask the designer, it's fine, it's normal. You're not a terrible knitter because you need help or you have to look into something to learn how to do it. That's what I mean. I get so many knitters who think they're beginners and who send me messages feeling like they're bad knitters, or that they suck at it or something, that they're stupid because they're not understanding something from the get-go. And that is really annoying to me, and it makes me really sad because I'm like, just no. That's normal. So yeah, I think what I really want to do with this crochet learning process is be very transparent about the things that I don't understand, and because that is part of the learning process. Like, I'm gonna read a sentence in the pattern, like for this design, for example, the sleeves are crocheted in the round, and there's a sentence in the pattern, which I've mentioned in a previous episode, which says, The sleeves are crocheted in the round but needs to be turned each row. When I read that sentence, I was like, excuse me, what? How? Like I kind of understood why, because it needs to be reversible, like the same type of stitch, right? But when I read that sentence, I didn't understand what I was supposed to do. And that's totally normal. It's part of the process. So I will keep sharing those because I think it's important to show people that when you're learning something, it's normal to not understand stuff, right? It's totally normal. But I also want to let you know that I don't need reassurance or encouragement, because some of you have been confused, and I've received some message that said, like, it's funny because when you're talking about knitters who are not confident, you're pushing them to not be afraid of their needles, right? And I'm like, yeah, but that's the same thing. I think acknowledging that there are some things that you don't know and that you need to look into something, it doesn't mean that you're stuck or that you're frustrated or that you're like, oh my god, I don't understand this. It doesn't make any sense. I will never be able to understand what it is I'm supposed to do. Like, it's very different things. And so, I don't need you to reassure me. I appreciate that that you have so much faith in me that you think that I can do anything. But I don't need you to tell me this. I'm fine. I know that I will be okay learning how to crochet. Like, it's not, especially like such a simple project. Like, I'm not doing a reproduction of the Eiffel Tower with a 1 millimeter crochet hook and weird stitches that have never been done before. I'll be fine. So yeah, I hope I'm being a bit clear. Like, I don't mean that I don't want your help or tips. On the contrary, like, please keep sending them, because some of you have described things to me in a way that really helped me process it and understand, and that's great. And I've received so many links to tutorials and crafters that are so interesting, so I'm very grateful for that. And please keep sharing your crochet favorite things and techniques with me, because it's super interesting and I'm very grateful. I'm specifically talking about some messages that I've received that perhaps I've given them the wrong impression and they felt like I needed to be encouraged. I'm fine. Don't worry about me. Because all of the things that I'm confused about, it's just normal. It's just part of learning. Like, of course, I'm not going to understand everything from the get-go. Like, I'm not some sort of crafting genius. If I've never done something, well, I might get it wrong and I might need to fiddle with it and learn, etc. And that's fine. Things don't need to be perfect, and you don't need to be perfect from the start either. So yeah, just a little bit of a frame reference to me learning how to crochet and me sharing the process, including the things that I don't understand, because I think it's important. So, speaking of messing up, I have done the silly thing, that's it. I have followed a US tutorial when I meant to follow a UK one. Lovely. So, that mistake is done, so hopefully I won't do it again. So this cardigan, it is a loose drop shoulder V-neck cardigan, right? And you can see that I've done quite a bit of progress. So it is knitted in pieces. You knit the back, which I had done in the last episode, and then you knit the fronts, and this is where I did the silly thing. So each front is in the last episode I said I was going to learn how to increase. Actually no, because it's worked from the bottom up. But yeah, you crochet. Geez, I'm never gonna get this right. You crochet from the bottom up, and so you do decreases. And of course, I followed a treble two together US, and I did think it was weird because I was like, that's funny. Why would I need to wrap the yarn more times for decreasing? I did think it was odd, but I still continued until at some point I realized, wait, I'm almost done with the number of decrease rows, but I have so little stitches. And then I actually checked, and idiot. So yeah, actually proper treble 2 together UK, so I guess this is double crochet together US. Not the neatest, as you can see, but I guess it's fine. So one of the things that I was talking about in the previous episode is seaming, because so the pattern has you knit these parts and then you make the sleeves in the round and you seam them to the armhole. I'm not good, that's something I'm not good at, so I don't do it, is seaming in the round, especially on an edge that's not neat. So I've received some helpful tutorials from you guys about seaming here, but that's fine. This edge was not a problem because it's really neat. You see, I can really see the stitches. And I've gotten some really interesting tutorials sent to me. One of them was a crochet seam that was super neat and very cool, but I was a bit too lazy to do this one. So I actually seamed the shoulders kind of doing a mattress stitch. So I basically grabbed the stitch, the vertical thing connecting each V stitch here. And yeah, it's visible, but I think it's neat. And I like how it turned out. But my problem was more for this edge, because you see, this is not a neat edge. There's no problem seaming this edge here, but this edge is not the same. You see, you can't really see as well the stitches. And so I still did it on the side here, and I think I did okay. It's not super neat, and I kind of messed up a little bit my alignment, but doesn't matter, it's gonna block out. So yeah, I think it's all right. It's not the prettiest, but it works. I don't block before I seam, because blocking before seaming, in my opinion, is really useful if you're making like curves, like if you're seaming a sleeve cap or something, which needs to be like inserted inside a curve. And like I said, I don't like seaming in curves or in circular stuff, so I just don't do it. And when you have straight seams, I don't think that it's really necessary to block, unless I'm really uncertain about the fabric and things. This is fine. So I seamed, and I will block it and it will stay straight. So what I did is I picked up the sleeves, because in the previous episodes I said I don't really want to seam the shoulders, the sleeves, because like I said, it's not a neat, it's the wrong type of edge, it's going to be a bit ugly, and if on top of that it's a circular one, don't want to do it. Don't want to do it. So what I did is I seamed the shoulders, I marked the sleeve circumference that I needed, and I picked up the number of stitches I was required to cast on for the sleeves on either side of the shoulder, and then I joined in the round. Because yeah, you kindly confirmed that there's no problem picking up stitches. Like, I'm going to pick up for the neckband anyway, so it's about the same. And I'm pretty happy with my sleeve pickup. It's much neater. You see, I know I'm always going to be a neater picker than a neater seamer. Now you can see the difference with the side seam and where I picked up. It's not perfect, but I have a more pleasant time doing this. I like picking up. I don't like seaming so much, so I don't mind it if it's a neat edge, but I would prefer picking up when I can. So it's what I did, and I'm pretty happy. So what I was saying about the sleeves worked in the round and turned each row. So I understood that this was because like you're not I can't do the same thing in the round because it's not gonna be the same pattern, right? It's as if I'm making stockinette flat and I'm doing the same thing in the round, that is one knit row, one purl row, then it's not the same result. So it's the same thing. I just wasn't sure how to visualize this, and actually it's very simple and very satisfying. So instead of working in a spiral, what you have to do is you do this and then you go back the same way all the time. So this way you crochet on the right side and you crochet on the wrong side. And at the beginning of round, you attach with the slipped stitch. And that looks pretty cool. What I understand is that if I didn't do this, if I was to crochet in a spiral, it would sort of go on the bias. So this is pretty neat. So the sleeve is straight, and then there will be rapid decreases. My row gauge is really wrong though, because I'm almost done with the number of rows that is recommended for the sleeves, and look at where I am. Like, no. So I'm gonna do a little bit more. I hope I have enough yarn. I have like 4 balls left for half a sleeve, a full sleeve, and then the V-neck band. Might need to buy some more yarn. I will see. Now, it is going to be a bit too loose, I think, on the back of the neck. I don't have, like, the thing is, I am tempted to pick up less stitches on the back neck, or rather do a decrease as I pick up for all of these stitches here at the back of the neck, right? Because I don't want it to drop. But the V-neck band is going to be done in double crochet UK, so single crochet US, I think. And I suppose that's already going to tighten things up, but I don't know how much and if it's going to be enough. Let me know. Yeah, that seems very big to me for the back neck. Even though it matches the measurements, like in the pattern it's intended like this. I don't know. I'll see once I have both sleeves done, both sides seamed, how I feel. I'm really happy with this, so it's going well. Like I said, yeah, I'm learning, so there are some things that I don't understand right away, but there's been no real difficulty so far. I'm not saying that I'm exceptional. I think I just chose the project pretty well for me, because I'm someone who, like, I don't need to do the same thing a billion times before getting it. And for example, I could have made a scarf in trebles, right? But I would have been so bored, honestly. And so I know that I kind of need projects that have me learn a bunch of different things at once, right? And this is what this does. Like, I learned the foundation treble, because you don't make a chain and then start from there. You actually do the foundation treble and the chain at the same time. I've done the treble, I've done the decreases, I've done the in the round, fiddled with the seaming, and I'm going to do like more rapid decreases for the wrists and the double crochet, and also the buttonholes, which I haven't looked yet how she does it. But so yeah, all of those things, it kind of is motivating for me. So it's a really engaging learning project, but at the same time it's not complicated. Like, there's nothing that would frustrate me because I need to take some time to learn, etc. Like, for example, I can crochet on it in the evening if I'm a little bit tired from my workday. I can still crochet on it, because even if I need to check how to do something, I know it's not going to be too complicated, and too brain consuming. So it's a very good balance for me, and a very good first garment project, I think, and I'm really happy with it. I am using Katia cotton in love, so it's merino and cotton blend. And so yeah, I have a question. And do you know of a crafter, a crocheter who makes garments especially with rustic, non-superwash, possibly woolen spun yarns? Because all of the crocheters I follow, either they knit with acrylic or cotton, or I've seen some superwash merino. And I'm just really curious out as to how it would look if I were to make, for example, this in a woolen spun yarn, because I thought about this because in the previous episode I mentioned that this is a little bit airy, and probably because the yarn I'm using is really smooth and it's okay for a cardigan. But I was wondering, what if I were to make something like this in a woolen spun yarn that would bloom and fill up the spaces? Probably you need to get a certain gauge right so that it's not too dense, okay? But it would make something warm and not too heavy, because the purpose of woolen spun yarn is that you use so little yarn because it's so light and still warm and puffy. And so yeah, I've never seen crochet done in a rustic, more natural, less processed yarn, non-superwash and or woolen spun. So if you have any example, or if you have done so yourself, I'm really curious about your experience, because I'm thinking I kind of want to use Ulysses from Derrière Natura, or some yarn from Blue Crewland, or Horst Super Soft, holding double probably. When I'm knitting Horst Super Soft, I don't have a problem with it breaking when I'm knitting it, because it depends on everyone's tension. Because I can see if I were to crochet a single strand of Horst yarn Super Soft, I can see it might break. But holding it double, like, I'm really curious. I'm really curious how it would look. Would it remove too much of the stitch definition that you like to see in crochet? I don't know. I'm curious. But yeah, that's an attempt. An attempt I probably will do with some. I have some Ulysses. I have a lot of skeins that I keep for making swatches and things. So I'm really curious what kind of fabric it would give in crochet. So yeah, if you have any opinion or experience about that, I would be really curious to hear what you think. And yes, that is my current project. We should be finished soonish, hopefully, if I have enough yarn and I don't need to buy new balls of yarn. But yeah, that is my crochet learning curve. And that's it. I have shared everything that I wanted to share for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a lovely beginning of spring, and I will see you quite often in April. I've planned quite a few episodes. I have scheduled them in a specific way. So yeah, I will see you soon. And yeah, I wish you a really happy end of the day, afternoon, whenever you're watching this, and I will see you next time. Bye!